After years of resisting providing Ukraine with some of the West's most high-powered weaponry, Britain indicated Saturday that it would give battle tanks to Ukrainian forces to help prepare them for anticipated Russian assault this spring. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak told President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine about his ambition to provide British-made battle tanks and additional artillery systems. According to a statement from Downing Street, before the British statement, Zelensky thanked Sunak for the decisions that will not only strengthen them on the battlefield but also send the right signal to other partners. The British Challenger 2S would be the first Western-made battle tanks to be sent to Ukraine since Russia invaded last February. Officials in the United States and Europe have long worried that sending tanks and other powerful weapons that would substantially increase Ukraine's ability to hurt Russian forces could prompt President Vladimir Putin of Russia to escalate the conflict even by potentially attacking Western targets or deploying small-scale nuclear weapons. But that calculus has begun to change in recent weeks, as Western officials worry that time is tight to help Ukraine prepare for an anticipated Russian offensive this spring, and some say a counter-offensive of its own. They have become more willing to take risks in part because the Ukrainians have performed well on the battlefield and use other sophisticated Western weapons capably and within limits set by their allies. Ukraine has been pleading for Western tanks almost since the start of the war to supplement its Soviet-era and Russian-made tanks and those supplied by other countries in Eastern Europe. Those tanks are wearing out fast after months of battle and are also running low on ammunition that is no longer in production. The push to satisfy Ukraine's pleas gained speed this past week as the British and Polish governments publicly urged a change in the Western Alliance's stance. The British announcement could increase pressure on Germany to send its coveted Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine, or at least to allow other European countries that have those German-made tanks to give them to Ukraine. Poland has said that it would send some of its German-made tanks, although Berlin would need to allow it. In Ukraine, officials say armored vehicles, including the infantry fighting vehicles that France, Germany, and the United States said last week that they would send to Ukraine, will play a key role in battles for control of the fiercely contested towns and cities in the eastern provinces that border Russia. Ukraine's most senior military commander, General Valery Zaluzhny, has said his military needs some 300 Western tanks and about 600 Western infantry fighting vehicles to make a difference. The British news media reported in recent days that only a small number of tanks, about a dozen, are being considered, and there are some weapons that Ukraine's Western allies still refuse to send, including fighter jets and long-range missiles that could hit occupied Crimea and military targets inside Russia itself. I am Lovely Montoya of Manila, STV.